Good morning. This is Amy Landault from North Shore Acupuncture Center, and this is one of the series of videos that we've been doing about menopause and perimenopause. So specifically, my goal is to try to change the narrative about perimenopause. There are actually lots of good things that happen during that time, and the symptoms that we have really are things in our life that we haven't addressed that we need to. And so it really is a very positive time in our life. And so today we're going to talk about one of those, which is creativity. So before I introduce my guest, I want to make sure that you realize that actually during perimenopause, we experience brain fog. One of the reasons we experience brain fog is because our brain is actually rewiring. And so our intuition and our creativity are both enhanced during this time of our life. So that might make you feel a little bit better about the brain fog. Your brain's just under construction and it's for good things, like the renovations are going to be great. So we're going to talk about creativity in one of those renovations and how you can really explore your creativity and use this time for some fun. Before I do that, if you have any questions, you can put your questions in the comments, or if you have comments, you can put those in the comments as well. If you are watching this after we're no longer live, you can still put your questions in the comments, and I'll try to get back to you with answers on those as well. So thank you for joining us today. So today I have with me Melissa Madsen. So let me tell you a little bit more about her. She is a movement and voice expert. The art of embodied living has been at the heart of her groundbreaking method for 30 years. She danced professionally in New York with some of the most innovative choreographers in the late 20th century. And after that, she trained to be an Alexander technique teacher, and I'll let her talk about that more later. She continued her somatic studies with Emil Conrad, Peter Levine, Bonnie Cohen, and Thich Nhat Hanh. Love Thich Nhat Hanh. From 1999 to 2017, Melissa was an applied movement professor at Santa Fe University of Art and Design, educating young actors in the art of stage presence. In addition, throughout those same years, Ms. Madsen co-founded the Alexander Movement Institute in Linz, Austria. Today, Melissa brings her work virtually to women business leaders worldwide. And we'll talk more later about how you can work with Melissa. But just to give you a background, I knew I wanted to cover this topic, and I was trying to think who the right person would be to cover it with. And I remembered Melissa, but I had only met her briefly at an art walk in Evanston, maybe for 5 minutes, and then had come back and taken a class with her one time, and I couldn't remember her name, and I was literally going to drive by where she works because I knew maybe that would trigger something for me, and I ran into her in a networking event. So I was really excited because your face came to me when I thought of who I wanted to have this discussion with. It's just your name that didn't come with it. So thank you very much for joining me today. This should be a fun conversation.
Yeah, that's such a good story, Amy, that you wanted to meet me, and pop, there we were in the same networking thing online. That was really good. And thank you so much for doing these. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great opportunity for you to have the chance to interact with all these different modalities under the umbrella of menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause, this whole female change thing. Very cool.
Yeah, it's fun. And it makes me excited about going through it myself. So let's start by talking about creativity. I think some people, when you talk about creativity and perimenopause, they think, oh, I got to start painting or there's only certain things we think of for creativity. So what is creativity to you? How would you define that?
I'm going to just go backwards and then back into it just for a sec, because menopause is a time when finally we have time. Most of us have some time in our life. Our kids are pretty much launched. Our careers are clunking along, doing whatever they do. And there's this space for being present to our lives. There's this space to finally go inside and pay attention to what's essential and interesting for me at this point in my life. There's less distractions. So creativity to me is the art of living. It's experiencing what inspires me and having the time and the space and the wisdom to take action on those things that inspire me. Yeah. And I don't think it's just for painters. And I don't think it's we have to leave our day jobs and go off and, I don't know, join a circus. It's called, I mean, it's creativity. Everything is a creative act. I mean, having babies is incredibly creative. Making dinner is wildly creative. Even the way in which we function in life is so creative because it's all inspiration based, or it can be inspiration based.
I love that definition. So what inspires you? So one thing I hear from women sometimes is they might have neglected themselves so much and focused on their families or their careers or both, and giving back to the community. And they haven't really paid attention, and they don't even know what they like, what they like to do anymore. So do you have suggestions for you, how do you help people get started exploring what they like and what inspires them?
I think that's heartbreaking. I mean, a part of my heart just breaks because it's so true. And at this time on planet Earth, when there's so much turmoil and there's so many of us that have such huge gifts to offer, the transformation of our culture is happening right now. And if we're still hiding and playing small and not coming forward with our gifts, it's a disservice. It's a disservice, yes, to ourselves, but it's a disservice to all of us. So, yes, stepping forward and being present to ourselves at this point. So how do I do that? I think it starts with really simple things like I'm sitting at the computer and I have to go to the bathroom. Am I going to just sit here and just finish this email? Or am I going to get up and go to the bathroom? Or I realize, oh, I'm hungry. Am I going to sit here and just finish this last little thing that I got to do? Or am I going to go and get something to eat? Or the opposite is true too. It's nighttime, I'm tired, and I'm done eating. Am I going to keep eating, or am I going to listen to my body and am I going to stop eating? So there's this whole ability that we train ourselves in that service mode of taking care of everybody else throughout our 20s and 30s and 40s and even into our 50s sometimes, where we're taking care of everybody else. And we stop listening to ourselves and we stop being present to what is necessary in order to function optimally in life. And those same cues that are telling us to go pee are the exact same cues that are saying that it can be a whisper, but it's like, oh, go turn that way and go down that street. It's more inspiring. Look at the leaves on that tree. Isn't that beautiful? And then it feeds my soul. And then I come home and I'm more inspired to make a delicious meal of leafy greens. Or, oh, wow, this client is so inspiring to me. How can I support them optimally? Or, oh, wow, I really want to just go out dancing tonight. Or, I guess we can't do that right now during COVID time. But
you can't out your yard.
What inspires me right now so that I can take action on it? And that's creativity. What keeps us out of inspiration is autopilot, is just being in that numb autopilot zone. I've done this my whole life this way, so I'm going to keep doing it this way.
Yeah, I love your suggestions because they're so practical to, taking a different route, listening to your intuition. So we talked about that a couple of weeks ago with Sophia. I don't know why I keep saying Sophia. Sonia Tully, about intuition and listening to your intuition and your heart. And your heart, for me, I feel like is a lot of times where I feel that inspiration. It tells me what I love, what I want to go towards. And I think one thing I've noticed that you kind of mentioned is just, for me, it's checking in with my body and seeing what makes me feel light and what makes me feel heavy. When you were talking about look at those leaves on the tree, like that makes me feel light. So trying to look at how do I do more things that make me feel light? And the things that make me feel heavy, it doesn't mean that I need to stop doing them completely or completely take it out of my life. It's how can I change the frame in the way that you said to inspire me? How can I change it a little bit so I can be more creative, so it's more inspirational, not, I'm going to throw it out in the garbage.
Yeah, totally. And to be able to, if light and dark are too confusing for people, or light and heavy, it might be even as simple as, does this bring me joy? Or does this bring me profound sadness? And again, it doesn't mean if something's sad, I go away from it. I let myself move through it. I let myself experience it. And in the experience of it, I'm a richer human being. I'm present to my life. And then it slowly quickly transform into action needed to take. I mean, this is what I've been contemplating so much this past week in terms of what's going on politically in this country. What's going on? It's not even political. It's just what's going on in humanity right now. And I find myself going in and out of sobbing. Do I stop myself from sobbing because of the situation or because I want to be in joy? No, I let myself go through the sobbing. I have to. This is such a pivotal time right now, and experiencing it rather than denying it or pretending it away or imagining it away, but going through the experience, embodying the experience until I'm done. And then my experience naturally starts to shift. I naturally find a new way through, and I naturally find new inspiration, which might be quite politically active.
Right. Yeah. I love that. This seems like it's going to be a good summary of all the sessions, because we've talked a lot about processing your emotions and really experiencing and being with them. Yeah. Because when you don't, if you try to repress them, yeah, or you get stuck with them and just feed them with thoughts, both of those cause perimenopause symptoms to be worse, along with anything else. So it's really important to really experience and sit with your emotions.
So when we deny our emotions, I mean, this is interesting. I know that when I deny my emotions, I'm unhappy. I'm an unhappy camper. I cannot function. And I know that my clients, when they deny their emotions, there's just no forward movement. There's no transformation available. But this is fascinating. So when we deny our emotions, our hot flashes and our brain fog and whatever else is increased.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Boy, that's
Yep. Huh. So one of the things for me, one thing that was helpful, even how I got into acupuncture, was a question that I just love this question, and I love asking people this question. So I got into acupuncture because I was in corporate America, and there was someone I managed who wasn't happy with her work. And so I was trying to understand what she liked. And she was having a hard time telling me what she liked. It's this whole conversation that we had. And so I was like, okay, if you could do anything in the world and you didn't have to worry about money or getting a degree or supporting your family or qualifications, any of that, what would you do? And she couldn't think of anything. So I said, all right, I'll go as an example. And so the first thing that came to me was, I was like, I would be an acupuncturist. And I got this little tingle in my body, and I was like, wow. And that's how, here I am. So then a couple of years ago, I started, I'm sure you've heard of the book, The Artist's Way. And one of the questions she asked in the book is, if you had parallel lives where you had jobs that you could do just for fun, what would those be? And so I love asking people, like, what would your 5 other jobs be? And so for me, I always forget what exactly they are, but one, I would be a drummer. I would be a forest ranger. I would be a librarian. I would be like a travel writer. So I have all these different things, but then what she suggests, and I might have paired some of this in my mind, but she suggests that you go on a date with yourself once a week where it's all by yourself, not with other people. And what I did was I looked at the things that I would do in my parallel life and said, how could I incorporate a little bit of the activities from those jobs into my life today? So as a forest ranger, what that meant to me was I go for a lot of walks in the forest now. For a drummer, I didn't take drumming classes, but I actually went to see Kodo when they were playing drums here. I took a drawing class because I actually had something about drawing, so learning to draw with botany. So it just gave me a framing, I guess, to explore what I like. And some of the things I found I like, some of them I didn't want to pursue further, but I liked that framing.
Yeah, and it gives you an opportunity to explore and stretch and get curious about what turns you on, what inspires you, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a big commitment. You know, it didn't always have to be signing up for a class. Some of those could just be one-time things that you do.
Or even changing your whole life, quitting your day job and, like I said, running off and joining the circus. You just really don't have to do that. You get to continue to live your life in a way that gives you safety and trust. I love Julie Cameron and her Artist Way book. She was a neighbor of mine when I lived in Santa Fe for many years. And she, in the 90s, we went through that course, and it was really very satisfying. And I have to say, the whole idea of an artist date, that's what you're talking about. And I feel like that is my life, is every day being able to explore what inspires me and being able to be inspired and be alive. And then I can feel that in my body, and that aliveness then takes me into action. So it's much less about looking at my to-do list and figuring, okay, what do I have to do today? I mean, I'm strategic and I have my clear structures, but at the same time, it's like, okay, what inspires me today? And that's what she means by doing the artist dates. And then also her big thing is just every morning, wake up and write pages. Just write 3 pages of just nonstop writing stream of consciousness, so that you can get out of your own way and out of your mental chatter, so that your day becomes one that is filled with intuitive flow. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I never was a journaling person, but just writing whatever is in your head feels like decluttering your brain to me, so that you can be open to hearing what inspires you more.
Yeah, totally. You know, I oftentimes, with a lot of my clients, they're working on transitions in their lives, women that have been in business for a long time that are really looking for fulfillment and purpose. And the conversation kind of goes that way frequently. It's like, what would you do even if you didn't get paid? What's your unique brilliance? What really turns you on? And oftentimes it's exactly elements of what they've been doing. It's find ourselves in our lives because they mean something to us. We are attracted to that which means something. But when we come into menopause, it's essential to be fulfilled, working towards fulfillment. I'm not willing to leave this place not having experienced my purpose, having been on my mission and fulfilling my mission.
Yeah, I love this idea, especially what you said, as far as for you or for me or for anyone on right now. Part of that inspiration might be being politically active, and that was an aha I had a few days ago, that I wasn't doing it in a way that matched with what inspires me and what my strengths are that I bring. And so I was doing what I thought I should do, but not necessarily what my true gifts are. And so I've been trying to get back to, how do I pair those two together? That being said, that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be pieces of it that are uncomfortable or not as fun, because that's the nature of the work, right? But how do I pair what inspires me the most and my strengths to have the biggest impact?
listening to what's inside. And that's how we started this conversation. When I have to go to the bathroom, going to the bathroom, I mean, that's just like the tip of the iceberg in terms of listening to my experience. But I believe all true change starts within. I mean, what did Gandhi say, right?
Yeah.
So all true change starts from within, so that as I make deep connection with my inner inspiration, my body wisdom, that which guides me, my inner guidance system, my inner GPS, I know exactly where to go. I know exactly what turns me on. I know exactly what inspires me. And when I start to say, oh, but I should be doing this, or guilt gets in the way, oh, I feel guilty, or shame, oh no, I can't possibly say that, or self-judgment and criticism, oh, I can't do that, or I got to do that, or I got to do that. You know, when all that control stuff starts coming in, there's no way we can hear that inner wisdom through all that noise. So I start really simple. That's why I meditate every day, so that I can hear my inner voice and then I know what inspires me and how to move forward. Yeah.
So you brought up something I struggle with a lot, which is that judgment, self-judgment, or perfectionism. And I know I see that getting in my way sometimes. Like when I took a drawing class, it was a botany class, the second class I took, and everyone in the class had been doing it much longer than me and practicing much longer than me. And so I found myself comparing my work, which was my beginning, to their 5 years out or whatever. And even if it was my beginning and their beginning, who cares, right? But I get stuck in that judgment. So do you have any tips for people that are letting their judgment or perfectionism stop them from really creating?
Totally. After being a recovered judgmental perfectionist nutcase myself, I completely identify with it. And the main thing I realized is whenever I hear the inner judgment, the inner critic in me, it's like, oh, that's stupid, or that's ugly, or oh, look at that. You know, when I start pointing it out, or when I'm pointing it in, that's when I just say, stop. I don't believe my thoughts. I don't take action on those thoughts. I do not believe those thoughts. I thank them very much, and I just let them go back to where they came from. That said, it's kind of an ongoing job, that inner awareness of listening to these thoughts and then being able to say stop and sending them back to where they came from. And that is my obsession. That's how I shifted my obsession from control freak. I shifted it into inner awareness, awareness of how I think, awareness how I'm sensing my body in this moment. Simple things, really simple things, is when I'm in control, I stop and I check in. Even when I'm not in control, having moments of feeling like I'm in control, trying to get into control, I stop and I check in, which gives me an opportunity to pause. Curiosity is the main cure for control. It's the main cure for judgmentalness. It's the main way of being able to get out of our habitual patterns of obsessive judgment. That takes me down a whole interesting pathway on patterns and habit, but I won't go there right now because maybe we'll talk about that in a minute. But pattern behavior is the main, and autopilot and becoming automaton and being a zombie is one of the main things that keeps us in criticism and keeps us in self-judgment and keeps us in that control mind. So
yeah, I've found that for myself to be very true. That if I'm judgmental of someone else, usually it's because they're doing something that I want to be doing, or they're speaking out in a way that I haven't spoken out for myself. And so it's interesting. And so I love your use of the word curious, because that's one of the things my therapist works on me with. Like, oh, it's really curious that you think that about that person. It's really curious that that was your thought about yourself. And so just using that curiosity to explore it. Yeah.
Well, I love the stoic perspective that the obstacle is the way. So if I'm criticizing somebody else, or if I'm triggered by somebody else's behavior, it's just something I got to look at in myself. It's just something I got to accept in myself and embrace it and love it, and then watch it transform once I've embraced it and I've loved it. If I keep trying to push it away, it's just going to keep getting bigger and uglier and bigger and uglier. So getting a chance to just go, oh yeah, there I am again. Isn't that cute? I can send you right back.
Yep. My therapist also says, like, imagine that person, that judgment or your anxiety or whatever in the back seat of the car. Like, yeah, I see you there, but I'm driving. So thank you for your input. I'm driving now.
Exactly. Or just not taking it seriously. Like you're saying, a backseat driver, thanks very much. It's like, it doesn't impact my life. It doesn't make any difference to the way I'm functioning. It's just like, I got to keep going back to the physical, practical things. I'm sitting here. I have to go pee. I have the judgment of going pee? No, I just have to go to the bathroom. It's as simple as that. If somebody triggers me and I have a judgment about them, I don't have to take it seriously. It's just my big fat ego having a fit. So?
Yep. I love that. So we could talk forever, especially since we're summarizing like all the sessions, it seems like. Tell me more about Embodied Living and how people can work with you.
Well, people work with me mostly because they're attracted to the way in which I present this material, this body of material, which has to do with how I can live comfortably in the world, and be fully present. So I work in groups. I have 2 small groups a week that are about between 10 and 20 people on Tuesday evenings and Friday mornings. And then I also work privately with people so that folks can dive deeply into what's keeping them back from fully embodying their presence in the world, what's keeping them back from fully coming clean to what I'm here for and what I'm passionate about and what I want to express in the world. So I think you can post my website, melissamatsonmoves.com, and give me a call and we'll chat, or drop me an email and we'll find out if what I do is right for you. It's absolutely not right for everybody. This work is really about, how do I embody myself? Thank you, there I am. How do I embody myself fully? How am I showing up and being present in the world fully? Yeah. So drop me a line and we can talk about this further, and we can dive into supporting you in your life. And when you need pain relief, when you need that deeper kind of systemic work that has to do with the way in which my body functions in life, when you have real blocks from an accident, from a trauma, from an injury, go do acupuncture. Go find Amy, because that's the work that people need to do when there's those big, like, trauma, got to move through it. When it has to do with, whoa, I am so confused about where to go next in my life, and I have a really big yearning to express myself, but I don't exactly know how, call me, because I can totally support you in understanding this next phase in your life and how you can fully shine within that.
Which pairs perfectly with this perimenopause topic, because a lot of times, to your point, this is where we have more capacity as far as resources with time and money to be able to do those types of things. So it pairs perfectly with that audience. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Before I close, I want to make sure people know the other sessions that are still remaining. So I appreciate your patience. We did reschedule. Given everything that's going on right now, it did not seem appropriate to do the session on Sunday and Tuesday. So Sunday's session about hormone replacement therapy has been rescheduled to Sunday, June 14th at 7:30. And then the yoga for bone health is rescheduled to Tuesday. I forget what time, but I'll get that out there as well. And tomorrow we will be talking about sexuality and perimenopause.
Ooh.
And Friday we'll be talking about pelvic health. So still some good topics left. If you missed the previous sessions, we have a lot of them. You can go to my Facebook page, which is North Shore Acupuncture Center, and you can find them under in videos on perimenopausal in a pandemic. You'll find the whole series there. So thank you very much. This was fun. I could have talked for another hour about this.
Yeah.
Creativity is one of my favorite things. I never thought I was a creative person because I wasn't necessarily good at some of those initial, like art, dance, whatever, theater. And some of that was my perfectionism. So that thought wasn't necessarily even true, but I didn't look at all of the other things that I create and how I'm exploring my creativity that way. So
yeah. You're doing so much creative work in the world.
Yeah, even this. I love doing this.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Oh, thank you, Amy. Really wonderful to be here. Yeah.